Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And we're here with another fun live stream. This is today, we're going to be going over vitamin E and how it fits all the same type of patterns as vitamin A. And it's not something that you want to pursue. It's not something you want to supplement. It's not something you necessarily have to really try to avoid. You just don't try to eat more of it. So first, I wanted to go over some housekeeping things. So yes, we are live, as Joe said. Some housekeeping things. First of all, exciting news. Our flush niacin capsules in 25 milligrams and 500 milligrams are now in the store. So they do have one other ingredient in them. Rice flour, because you can't fill a capsule, folks, without putting something else in it. I'm sorry. It's just math. People don't want half full or 10th full capsules. So you got to put something else in it. It's just the way it is if you want a capsule. So 25 milligrams. A lot of you are familiar with Dr. Clark's 25 milligram niacin capsules and Dr. Clark's 500 milligram capsules. That's what we based ours on, and that's what we are now selling. And it is approved by Kelsey. Kelsey has tested it herself. She actually tested the flush of the niacin herself, and she really liked the flush of it. So those are available both in the regular store. If you're not a Love Your Liver member, if you want the discounted prices on our supplements, well, you got to join the Love Your Liver program, which is at members.nutritiondetective.com. And then you can get discounts on all the supplements, and you can actually get access to some extra supplements that we have in our VIP store. So there's that. Next, I just thought I'd point out, I've been doing a very intense hair regrowth protocol that I found, and it lines up with Love Your Liver principles in general. And I didn't cut my hair today so you guys could see that it is actually working. You can go back and look at my old videos and look at, there used to be way more difference between, let's say, the front and the sides of my head and the top of my head. It is working, and this is less than 2 months. So apparently our diet is okay for hair growth and hair regrowth. But yes, this is a very intense protocol. I will be making probably some sort of information product on what it will entail. Kelsey's probably going to formulate a new a hair oil. She already has a hair oil, but we'll be doing things that I've learned in this protocol with it, and that's really exciting too. So it's pretty cool. So then we get into what else was there? I think that's it on the updates. We do have other new supplements coming. Pretty exciting stuff, but I don't want to talk about those because whenever I talk about them, people email Julie, even though I tell them not to email Julie. So I can't tell you guys anything anymore because somebody ruins it for everybody. So that's just the way it is. Don't bother Julie about new products. She doesn't know any more than I do. So yeah, let's get into it then. Testimonials first. We have some testimonials. Let me share this one. And here we go. This was posted to the Love Your Liver Network. So for those of you who don't know already, I do not use people's names in the testimonials or their initials for medical privacy. However, these are, pseudo public inside the Love Your Liver Network. So if you were inside the Love Your Liver Network and you wanted to look up this testimonial, you can. So here we go. My story, and my thanks to Grant Genereux and Garrett Smith. During the pandemic, I seemed to develop some very strange symptoms: confusion, dizziness, detachment from reality, almost schizophrenic symptoms. I'd get episodes where I'd feel like I'd faint. They'd last anywhere from 1 minute to 1 hour. I'd feel like I'd collapse and would have to sit or lie down immediately. I remember having to pull over from my car as I'd feel like I'd pass out. Sometimes I'd need a family member to get a taxi to my location and drive me home. It was very scary. This was multiple times a day. It slowly got worse, and I started to struggle getting through the day. I went to multiple doctors, MRI scans, blood tests, and they said I was just anxious over the lockdown and that it's okay to be anxious. Gaslighters, yes. I had that's the one. It's all in your head, right? I had the worst health imaginable for around 2 years. The label of what I had was, quote, long COVID, as it came shortly after contracting this virus. And the first thought you'd most likely have is it's probably the vaccine or even the virus. But no, it's something you would never guess. Now, folks, okay. Y'all are really being gaslighted about. This is an aside, but long COVID, where people say, oh, that's just, okay. Is the jab causing problems afterwards? Yes. Is that the only thing that it could be for people who are having problems after COVID? No. Go look up post-influenza syndrome. Y'all should know that the loss of smell and taste that people talked about in COVID has been happening from the flu for a very long time. Who is it? Polly St. George posted a bunch of references on her Twitter about the loss of taste and smell happening previously in the flu. So this is not something new to COVID. It's not something bioengineered in COVID. It's a zinc deficiency and copper toxicity and cadmium toxicity getting dumped out of your liver in the bile, and then it's frying your nose, your olfactory nerves. That's what it is. Go look up post-influenza syndrome. A lot of people, they get the flu, which is a big bile dump, and it causes tons of cholestatic damage. It eats away more holes in their bile pathways, and then they leak more bile after that. Like, it doesn't get fixed. So, long COVID, post-influenza syndrome, go look them up. It's not just the jab is what I'm saying. These are not new syndromes, okay? It's all toxic bile. It's been around a long time. People are more toxic now, so these problems seem more obvious. Okay, let's keep going. I had multiple lipomas all over my body, slowly increasing from when I was 12. Lipomas are like fatty tumors, okay? Not necessarily cancer, but fatty tumors. Now, most likely 50 significant ones, mildly painful with many more tiny hidden away. I've spent my whole life looking at what the root cause is, making notes, testing theories. I'm not a doctor, but I've come to learn a lot over the last 20 years. I'm now 34. Eventually, out of desperation, I went for this treatment called Aqualix, an injection filled with deoxycholic acid, which is a bile acid. Let me add, that's a secondary bile acid, the most toxic there is. The secondary bile acids are the ones that are made by your gut bacteria from primary. Primary bile acids come into your gut. Your gut bacteria makes them into secondary bile acids that are even more toxic. Okay? This is why you have to have a good gut biome. Your gut biome is changed by the bile and what you eat, and your gut biome changes the bile, and then a lot of it gets reabsorbed. So you want to fix it. It's like a negative loop. You don't want it, okay? You want to fix it. So he got deoxycholic acid, a secondary bile acid, injected into each lipoma. After about an hour after the horrid procedure, a feeling grew that something was wrong with my body. Slowly, I could barely breathe. Oxygen wasn't working for me. Vision was clouded. I was completely detached from reality. I was about to go. I felt like I was extremely low in sugar. That was just the feeling. Extreme anxiety, dizziness, barely enough strength to stand. I genuinely felt like I was about to die. I was in central London and I was terrified. I got a taxi home and collapsed onto the bed, somehow holding myself together for the journey. This was the very first instance of me now having chronic health issues. How could this be? How does melting lipomas cause such severe issues that will linger on and off for the next 2 years? Spoiler alert, this treatment did jack shit. Yeah. So, if you guys haven't seen before, I've been over the toxic bile papers published by the Rockefeller Institute from 1905 and 1906 on toxic bile. When they injected toxic bile into the bloodstream of dogs, it could put them into paralysis or coma. Okay? What was he feeling? He was like feeling like he was going to die. Well, probably you feel like you're going to die right before you go into a coma, right? So this is bile. This is bile they injected into him. Okay? Only now do I realize what happened. These were balls of stored vitamin A that was now metabolized and dispersed into my bloodstream as retinoic acid. I did have health issues before this instance, though nothing severe, and some weird unexplained issues. Acne, never being able to gain muscle, autistic qualities, nervousness, weak bones, retina detachment issues. Sleep paralysis can actually be pretty cool. Hearing things now and then, feeling like I was falling out of nowhere. Intense anger issues that would come over me out of nowhere. Not being able to articulate very well, but never severely bedridden. So, okay, folks, your body makes fatty tumors and fatty liver to store fat-soluble toxins. What the toxins were in those lipomas, we aren't going to know because there wasn't testing. Could it have been vitamin A? Sure. Could it have been other fat-soluble toxins? Oh, I don't know, like vitamin E, like we're going to go over today. Possibly. Could it have been other fat-soluble toxins, like forever chemicals and other things like that? It could have been any of those. It could have been all of them. Here we go. In my worst moments, I was so weak that I could barely move. And I mean this. I was at one point holding on to my pee because I could only afford enough strength to go to the bathroom once. And it was only my pride that stopped me from peeing sitting down. I would almost faint standing up, breathing slow and shallow to stop this happening. I'd eat lying down on my side, barely strong enough to chew. At my better days, I was still awful and battled a lot of dizziness. Forget brain fog. What I also had was complete derealization. I've helped someone with this before too. I would look at my family members and almost not know who they were. I was dizzy for 1.5 years straight without any relief. I'd even have dreams where I was dizzy, where how cruel that sleep couldn't give me a break. My legs were so weak and almost had to think about how to walk. I guess we'll just say, and I almost had to think about how to walk. I felt like my weakness was more neurological than muscular. Whether it was or not, I don't know. I was convinced I had ALS and was terrified reading stories, thinking that I was on my way to develop this. I always thought I was born wrong, that my genetic makeup was wrong. I could never reverse what was happening to me, whatever this was. I wanted to kill myself at one point, but was too scared to. If I ever breathed in deep just once, I was so lightheaded, I thought I'd faint, and a deep breath would set me back a few hours. I was simply terrified at all times. Severe anxiety, but mainly due to how sick I was. I was anxious due to my sickness, not sick due to anxiety, even though the anxiety made it worse. The amount of times I had to tell people this felt endless. No one believed me. I was just exaggerating and just wasn't a strong person. I just had to get over it, whatever this was. To this day, I'm surprised at how much the human body can take. You guys, really, that's a huge statement there. The human body can take amazing amounts of punishment. Think of how many different ways they are trying to kill us. They can't make it too obvious, right? Like you can't have the shots having too many people keel over right away because then it becomes too obvious and they can't hide it. It has to only be a certain number. Here we go with the diet. I would eat loads of vegetables to be healthy. Broccoli, red onions, ginger, garlic, turmeric, eggs, especially the yolks, sweet potato, salmon. Who didn't do that kind of health nutty diet? I did for a while. Anything brightly colored as this is what people tell me. They must be right. And the science is convincing. I'd eat as much nutrition as I possibly could. My goal was to get as much of every nutrient as possible. All my toxicity came from eating healthy food. All of their toxicity came from eating healthy food. Oh, you haters on the YouTubes. My goodness. It can't happen from food. I'm sorry, you're wrong. No Accutane, no vitamin A or copper pills. No keto, no vegan, no carnivore. Nothing actually extreme. I never ate organ meat only until the very end in very tiny amounts. Just a very bad combination of the wrong foods and lots of things that would stop detox. I've come to realize I've been toxic since birth. Born jaundiced, had typical autistic qualities as a boy, very scrawny with a small skull. Impossible to build muscle. That's an undertype. I'd have the worst acne as a teenager. My mom has osteoporosis and my grandma had gallbladder issues. Now this makes sense. Why was I cursed and so unlucky? I tried herbs, medicinal mushrooms, pretty much every supplement you can think of. I took a disgusting amount of supplements during my life and they were never ever essential minerals or vitamins, always some kind of magic pill. Folks, how many of you out there know this story? Like so many of us have done this. I kept praying for relief, almost knowing it would never come. Never been so glad to be wrong. I at one point read that vitamin A is essential to the epithelium. I've always had leaky gut. I had a lot of weird sensations that felt like my blood vessels were leaking. Leakiness. I'd feel trickling running down my leg, but on the inside, even in my brain. The really smart people on the internet tell me that retinol gets destroyed very easily, and most people are deficient. I'd have to get this through liver and not overcook it. This was the answer to all my problems, and this was what was going to heal me, I told myself. What is so strange is that it made me so much better for a moment. Duration paradox, anybody? What is so strange is that it made me so much better for a moment. This also now makes so much sense. Yet something felt very wrong. I felt very energized that it didn't feel normal. Somebody told me on Twitter the other day they had 1 drop of methylene blue and every problem they had cleared up. And I'm like, that's a drug effect. That's an absolute drug effect made by the pharma cartel. Weird. What's it doing? It's shutting down detox. more. So you don't detox, so you have less toxicity leaking into your system and you feel better. So anyway, let's keep going. I felt very energized that it didn't feel normal. I felt drugged. Once this liver effect wore off, I felt worse than before. I needed more. I then had more. I must have done this only twice in small doses, and after the second time, I genuinely thought I was going to die. What do drugs do? They give you the high and then the crash. That's what drugs, then toxins do. I could barely breathe and oxygen wasn't working again. I was on Reddit looking on a nutrition page when I saw a comment saying that you don't need any vitamin A. I bet I know who this was. This triggered a memory, as I'm sure I've heard this before and really could not, and it's not me, and really could not understand how this even made sense. I questioned this comment and then asked for proof. I wasn't calling him out like the other comments. I was very curious, and because of this, he sent me Grant's book and a Dr. Smith video. That's where it all changed. I think I know exactly who you're talking about from Twitter. He was going on Reddit. If you guys don't know, my work is heavily, heavily censored on Reddit. Nobody gets to talk about my work on Reddit. They will just shut it down and delete it. Sometimes I feel so sad I had to go through this, how low a human could sink. It's not your fault. We all have been duped by this. Not feeling as bad as this person did, but we've all been duped. An animal would have been put down, and at times I wish that I would die in my sleep. Yet any time the sadness of these thoughts creep in, I come to the realization just how incredibly lucky I am to know the truth. This random person saved me by sending me to Grant's second book and Dr. Smith's work. My jaw hit the floor when I read it. Every single thing made sense and fit perfectly to what was going on with me. My first thought was, quote, I need to sue Grant Genereux as this man has somehow written a biography on my life without my consent. And quote, why was it typed on a PDF document? Right? Not a book in the stores or something. That ache that I've had underneath my ribs on my right-hand side for the past 10 years is my liver, and it is not just a chronic ache like the smart doctors say. No, it is not my genes. No, this is not normal. No, this is not just how life is. When I was a child, even my pet rabbits died at such a young age of kidney failure, and I couldn't understand why it was always the same thing at the same time, about 1.5 years. When I read the fact that rabbits can convert 100% of beta carotene to vitamin A retinol, I've shown this study before, this really hit me. I used to overfeed them with brightly colored vegetables. I am so lucky, as the very thing that is wrong with me that is causing my sickness is the very organ that can regenerate. How lucky I am that it was this to find Grant and Garrett. It's been 1 year, 6 months to this day, and it is genuinely insane how far I've come. Thank you so much for all the information you've provided. You have no idea the impact it's had on my life. Grant's work is priceless, and Garrett's advice on exactly how to tackle toxicity is genius. Well, thank you very much. I needed both. Trying to do this myself without Garrett's advice would have ruined me for sure. The extras he provides are really important and explains why so many are failing. Folks, if you're out there trying to save $99 and do the low vitamin A diet on your own, and you're having problems, and because you just don't want to spend $99 for a year worth of access to the Love Your Liver program, the Love Your Liver program is not just a low vitamin A food list. I'm explaining how to fix yourself. It's so much more. So anyway, you can keep wasting money on, think about it. Most of you probably spend more money. If you're not in the program, you're probably spending more money on supplements in a month than a year of the Love Your Liver program would be. And then maybe you can stop buying those supplements a month that cost you $100 a month and actually fix yourself. So let's keep going. I am so thankful for these two, and not to forget the random Reddit user. I want to look it up because I'm pretty sure I know who it was. Not just telling me vitamin A was toxic, but showed me proof when I asked for it. Sometimes I look at this person's comments and just cannot believe how much he is downvoted and ridiculed. Yeah. These people saved me from the depths. You people who go out there, my people, our people who go out on Reddit and like Zen dog breath going on Grant's forum, any of you out there trying to spread the word in these little internet slums of mouth breathers who can't handle anything different than what they think, thank you for doing that. You're doing God's work. Okay. These people saved me from the depths. They have no idea how much of an impact they've had on me. If you are not a Grant or a Garrett, be that Reddit user and tell people. Yes. As this random person perhaps had the greatest impact on me. Be patient. Don't be a smartass. Send the correct info and educate with compassion. Understand that people don't understand. Move on when you feel like you've done enough. It's almost a joke how many symptoms I used to have. Okay, so we're saying they're gone or they're almost all better. There's probably more that I've forgotten. Dizziness, gone. Brain fog, 90% gone. Derealization, gone. Intracranial pressure, severe all the time to mild 30% of the time. This is classic vitamin A toxicity. Blood circulation, terrible to slightly below average. We're gonna hit on this with vitamin E today. Depression, severe to pretty much gone. Anxiety, greatly improved. Sudden panic, like adrenaline panic, gone. Muscle strength improved. Hard swollen belly, greatly improved. Little bloating. Hair loss. I used to take medication, so naturally it got worse, but my hair now is better than what it used to be at one point. Pain in my liver area went from constant, strong, dull ache to a feeling that it needed to be stretched. Hard to describe, but this area feels looser. It's not 100% gone. Yellow eyes got worse and then better. Intense anger got worse, then improved, pretty much gone. Weakness, pretty much gone. Just the feeling of being unfit now. That you can fix that once you get better enough. Eyesight, extreme sensitivity to light, greatly improved. Nighttime blindness is a bit up and down. I get these black spots in my vision that is also a bit up and down. Eye things, we think protein, zinc, nicotinic acid, and yeah, those are the big ones. And then just watch out for lutein. If to this person, if you're a lutein sensitive person, that may be part of the issue. More sensitive to some foods like high sulfur and spice, but overall sensitivities are far, far less. High sulfur foods, crucifers, alliums, garlic, onions, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, those things. And spices are the ground up, spices are ground. Herbs are the leaf, right? These are all toxic. You don't want them. I'm probably going to do a show on garlic and onions and that stuff. Maybe just a sulfur show. No added lipomas. The ones I have no longer hurt as some of them used to, and they feel a lot softer. They don't stick out as much and are far less obvious. I really hope to let everyone know they're gone in the future, but also know after reading Grant's progress, this will take time. I'm personally extremely happy with the improvement. Topical charcoal applications may help these to go away faster. Extreme sensitivity to supplements. It took 2 weeks for me to handle magnesium, 4 months to handle zinc, 9 months to handle molybdenum, 1.5 years to handle selenium, around a 50% dose every other day at the moment, before a microdose would make me bedridden for 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to hit on this for a second, folks. When people are really, really toxic, they get very, very sensitive to many, many things. Getting sensitive to the minerals that we use, being sensitive to the minerals that we use means that there's a lot of toxicity in there. And when you take the mineral, it starts moving things along your detox pathways, your bile dumping. You start dumping stuff out of your liver. If it leaks too much into your system, you don't feel good. As we get people better and less toxic, they can then, it's like a positive cycle, right? They get more of the toxins out. So when they take the supplements, it doesn't detox them as hard. It doesn't bile dump as hard. There's not as much toxicity in the bile. And then they're able to start taking more of the supplements. They tolerate more of them. And then it becomes like a positive loop. Okay. You not being able to tolerate, it would be fine if somebody could never tolerate a selenium pill. If that's the way it is, they're just like, they get all better and they're like, I can't take selenium. I know selenium doesn't get along with me. That's fine. That's fine. When you have somebody this toxic, they are very, very deficient, but taking the supplements can make them worse. So we have to start where they're at, and they take only what they tolerate. This person got into the Love Your Liver program and listened to my instructions. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that. It might take you a while to be able to take it. When people listen to me, which this person did, you can make amazing progress on the do-it-yourself Love Your Liver program. So remember, the Love Your Liver program is a do-it-yourself thing. I'm not in there guiding you in the program. I give you all the tools you need. If you want to do the low-cost do-it-yourself version, that's what you get. If you want to work with me or the other practitioners, Hope or Kelsey or Nathan, then you can come in and work with them and get your testing done. Okay? But yeah, minerals, the things you need like this person, they feel unfit. Do they need exercise to fix that? Yes, but they can't do it yet. Does it make sense? As they get better, they'll be able to do exercise. And then they'll be able to get more fit. And then they'll be more resilient. And then they can do more. It's just, this is how things work. If you can't do stuff at the beginning, just take it as a sign that you're still toxic. And you just got to detox, like avoid toxins more. It's always the priority to stop intoxing before you start trying to detox. And it's always the priority to put less toxins in than it is to put more nutrients in. As this person was talking about, they tried to get the most nutrition they could. Tons of us did this. We thought nutrition was everything because the idea of more nutrition means capitalism gets to sell more stuff to you. More expensive stuff, they get to sell you more stuff. Taking things away doesn't sell anything, you understand? So, okay. Obsessive thinking, a lot better. Laziness, a lot better. I would just say that's probably better energy. Sleep. I've naturally been a good sleeper. After starting this new way of living, at one point it got a lot worse, and for the first time had insomnia. This then went away. An inability to yawn. This was weird, but gone. Coordination and balance. Actually scary how bad it used to be and now greatly improved. Complete mental emotional numbness, 80% gone. Nerve pain. If I stretched my arms out, I'd feel my nerves pulling. Gone. Concentration, severely bad, like ADHD, to below average at the moment. Okay. Sensation of blood trickling down my arms and legs. Gone, but interestingly comes back if I take vitamin K. Calcification perhaps protecting me from vitamin A. I don't know. That's a weird one. But again, vitamin K. Everybody out there, first of all, I like MK4 the best. MK4 is the best one. Now, if you don't feel good on vitamin K, don't take it. I don't care what the internet says. If K2 helps you, if you take MK4, K2, and it helps you feel better, might help your sensitive teeth, your bleeding gums, if you have trouble making your bleeding stop, your coagulation is not working great. Like if you get a nosebleed and you're like, why does my nose not stop bleeding? Easy bruising. Easy bruising is when you have, you often have bruises. You don't even know how you got them. There shouldn't be a bruise there, but you have one. And then if you know you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, then taking some vitamin K can be helpful with that. However, no matter what you read about it, or even if I talk to somebody in our consult about taking vitamin K, if you try it, rarely this happens, rarely. Some people will report they're like, my teeth got more sensitive on vitamin A or vitamin K, like right away. Okay, don't take it. Stop taking it. If you get weird stuff from vitamin K, stop taking it. If you get insomnia or the teeth get sensitive, if you get any of the stuff that's not supposed to happen, some people, their sleep really improves on vitamin K, like amazingly improves. Do I know how that works? No, I don't know how it works. Some people, their sleep gets worse. Most people do well with vitamin K2, MK4. Some people don't. If you're one of the people who don't get along with it, don't take it. It's not that hard. So anyway, yeah, so he's having a reaction because he said the symptom comes back when he takes vitamin K. Okay, if you don't like the symptom, if there's not other good things happening to make the juice worth the squeeze, then don't take the vitamin K. Okay, POTS wasn't very often initially, but now gone. Reflux, sometimes acid, sometimes bile, 90% gone. Exercise intolerance, severe to medium, that will get better. I mean, I'm going to say that the lipomas getting softer is a really good sign that there's less toxicity in them, and it's going to be a while. Your real health recovery may not, all of it may not come until those lipomas are gone, because those are still there to store toxicity, and the toxicity is coming out. Okay, want to be clear, anytime I backtrack, the symptoms above can go a bit worse. Anytime I push detox too far, I'm going to say too hard, I'll get some new symptoms that'll go within a day when I stop. So people out there will try to badmouth what we're doing here, and they'll be like, some people feel worse. And I'm like, and this person reads the program, does what they're supposed to do. Oh, if you feel bad, do less of the things that push detox. And they listen, and then it goes away. And then you have people out on the internet trying to badmouth us. Well, this person felt bad on it. And I'm like, then I ask them, how much did you feel good on soluble fiber or beans or oats? And they're like, no, I always felt terrible, but I kept eating them because it's part of the program. That's not what I said to do. Some people don't tolerate any soluble fiber at the start of the program. Okay, then don't eat it at the start of the program. Some people tolerate charcoal instead of soluble fiber. Well, then do charcoal. Don't do soluble fiber. This is not very hard. You just have to listen to your body and then listen to the advice I give you about how to listen to your body. So, hello, Dahanish. Okay. How I wish the people who think that they have long COVID would understand the truth about vitamin A, toxicity in general, and toxic bile. I've tried telling some of them, explaining it as best I can, but it does no good a lot of the time. I am so thankful that for whatever reason, I was a bit different and saw the truth. Go on Reddit and the subreddit COVID long haulers or CFS for chronic fatigue syndrome. I forgot to mention there is the bile and acid, the bile reflux, the bile and GERD episode. We talked about chronic fatigue syndrome. I did an episode on chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. I want to watch that on the channel. Read the stories people post there. It's heartbreaking. Even though they're wrong about so much, it's not their fault, really. They're human beings and have essentially been made to suffer because of certain people. Them, right? It's been 1.5 years, and for the first time in my life, I have so much confidence in my health and my future health. I can't change people, but at least I can implement some good ideas into my family's lives. Reduce some toxicity here and there, introduce some good things. Even my dog is benefiting from this. I want people to heal as I've suffered and understand the pain. Maybe I need to lead by example. Maybe people need to say, what's your secret? And then they believe me when I tell them. Yes, get yourself better first. Get yourself really better, and then they'll want to know what happened. This is what motivates me to continue and be strict with the diet. I want to give something back. For now, I hope this small token of a testimonial is okay. Well, it's not small, but it's amazing. And a big thank you to every single person who has commented and replied to any questions I've had in the past. You have also been so important in my healing process. If you ever think that following Dr. Smith's advice is complicated, being sick is even more complicated. If you think Grant's diet is restrictive, try having chronic health issues and being a prisoner to your own body. Like, really, his diet should be renamed to the freedom diet, if anything, because he calls it the prison diet. Stay disciplined and consistent. This is more powerful than any supplement. Much love. Okay, let me see how long. Yeah, we got a second testimonial. This one's a lot shorter. But folks, like, I want you to understand, this person, look at all these symptoms that have improved or gone away. Now, I want you to know that when you go into the Love Your Liver program, people are like, what do I do for, obsessive thinking? What do I do for sleep? What do I do for nerve pain? What do I do for my hair loss? What do I do for depression? Okay. There is no protocol. We don't do protocols. Protocols are not for intelligent people. Intelligent people individualize things and listen to their body's feedback. What we do here is within a framework. We have the framework, and you make things work for yourself in the framework. That's what this person is doing, and that's why they're getting better. This is why they're not treating with a protocol any of these conditions, yet they're all improving. This is really important to understand. I don't have, somebody asked cerebellar ataxia. They asked about that in the chat. I saw that at the start. I don't have a program for that. I don't have, this person was talking about derealization and feeling, I think they mentioned kind of feeling schizophrenic a little bit at the start. Those are toxicity things. I don't have protocols for those. We do the same principles and concepts for all of it. That's what we do. So let's get into this one now. I have been on the diet now for 2 years and 8.5 months. The last couple of months, I have had days where I feel incredibly well. Today is one of them. It is just so insane. It is just insane so good one can feel when the level of toxins comes below a certain level. Bile seems to flow very well. I came to this forum to get help with xanthelasma that has evolved for about a year. It is gone now, except for a couple of small, almost invisible patches that only I can see. It will also soon be gone. I don't have a xanthelasma protocol. I was born with jaundice, so second person born with jaundice. Like 70 to 80% of the babies born today are born with jaundice. Your kids are being born with liver problems because they are handed down. So when somebody's like, well, my grandma ate bacon and eggs and ate liver and drank milk and all, and she was fine. Well, you're not. These toxins get handed down. What are people not understanding? Like this builds up. You've been fooled into thinking that like people are born with a blank slate. Like you're born into this world and you're a blank slate and you're programmed, and that's a bunch of horse shit. And you are born into this world with toxicities and deficiencies because you are made of what your mother and father were made of, for better or worse. For better or worse. So if your mom and your dad were full of toxicity, and your grandma was full of toxicity, then your parents are full of toxicity, and they probably never got rid of it, and then they hand it down to you. This is how these things go. This is why you don't want to say, well, my grandpa did this, and he was fine. No, because it's the accumulation across generations that we're dealing with now. So I was born with jaundice, and for more than 50 years, liver, pate, and carrots were some of my favorite foods that I ate almost daily, as they are considered stable foods here in Denmark. I have also been eating a lot of eggs and whole livers. This year, for the first time since I was a kid, my skin was not yellow during the winter. I'm curious about what my serum level of vitamin A is, but unfortunately, it's not possible to get that tested here. Why would he turn? I'm going to ask this as a rhetorical question. Why would he turn yellow during the winter and not be yellow during the summer months? Well, it's either bilirubin or vitamin A in his skin, or both. The sun oxidizes or moves things along the detox pathway, both bilirubin and vitamin A. He was born with jaundice. That's bilirubin. That's yellow skin. And then he was eating liver pate and carrots and eggs and livers and okay. So glad you're doing better. So those are the testimonials. Let's get into it now. Let's get into vitamin E. Joe, we can shut this down. Okay. So vitamin E. Another fat storable compound found in foods. Well, it's not easy to get. Like, a lot of people were kind of paying attention to vitamin E RDAs, and they're like, if you don't eat the nuts and seeds and seed oils, you're not going to get enough vitamin A. There's almost no way to get it. Well, that's because they want to trick you into buying supplements because you can't get enough of it from food, like the obscene calcium RDA that you could never reach with foods other than dairy. Well, who's really in the dairy business? The Rockefellers have always really been in the dairy business. So they can just corrupt the research and tell you that there's no way you could get enough calcium without drinking milk. So vitamin E. I want you to understand with what we're going to go over today. Vitamin E is, well, first of all, what are the 3 supplements? I'm going to remind you of this again. What are the 3 supplements that the media will use to badmouth the entire supplement industry? It's always the same 3. Beta carotene, vitamin A, as in like retinol palmitate, other vitamin A's, and vitamin E, because it causes thinning of the blood. The blood does not coagulate properly. Well, what if there's a reason for that? Do you know, Joe, you may want to put up that video link. I have a whole video on here of the research showing that vitamin A, the toxin called vitamin A, depletes vitamin K2. Multiple papers have shown this in animals. There might even be one in humans. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But there's a whole video on this YouTube channel. It's probably one of my earlier videos. Maybe like 4 years old, 5 years old. There it is. So, vitamin A depletes vitamin K2. Because somebody just asked about deep vein thrombosis. Well, coagulation problems go along with excess calcium in the blood. That's how D3 rat poison kills mice and rats. It brings too much calcium into their blood. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K, remember, and then they clot, and the calcium just clots them all up and they die. Hypercalcemia is what vitamin D supplements cause. It's what vitamin A causes. Hypercalcemia. Vitamin K can help with this, yes. It doesn't make it all go away. You cannot beat the toxins with another nutrient. You don't want to try to do that. Stop taking in the toxin. Don't think you can take K2 and get away from the D3 poisoning. And then the other thing is don't think you can take vitamin D to avoid vitamin A poisoning. All these things are accumulating. They're fat soluble compounds, fat storable toxins, in my opinion. Vitamin K, like I already said, I use it. Vitamin K is a totally different chemical class than vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E. So let's get into it now. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Joe, let's go. So I mean, I can put this link in the chat. What is vitamin E? Tocopherol, okay? An alcohol. An alcohol. Are vitamins, do you really think that alcohol compounds are vitamins? Isolated from wheat germ oil or produced synthetically. It has the properties of vitamin E. Okay. There's 4 tocopherols that they talk about. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Which one is the vitamin E that we need? Well, they say it's alpha, D alpha. But then what are the other forms? How could they be so closely related and we only need one? That's weird. It's like with vitamin A, people try to say that you need retinol, but retinol actually does nothing in your body specifically. It is retinoic acid that is supposedly active vitamin A. And then there's retinaldehyde, and then there's beta carotene, and there's multiple forms of retinoic acid. When you start to see, here's where you start to know that things are horseshit. When there's a vitamin, but there's like an entire family of things, like vitamin D, there's like 25 different forms in your body. That's where you start to go, wait, something stinks here. So vitamin E has 8 members of the family: tocopherols and tocotrienols. So tocopherol, any of a group of closely related fat-soluble alcohols constituting vitamin E and similar compounds. Okay, so we just wanted to go through the definition of vitamin E, what it is a little bit, and then we get into vitamin E sequestration, as in it's getting stored and accumulating in fat, in liver fat. Wait, liver fat? That would be related to what disease? Fatty liver. Have you ever looked at what color vitamin E supplements are? Yellow. You know what color fatty liver is? Yellow. What color is vitamin A? Yellow. Weird. Sometimes you start, it feels like a third grader could get this. They're like, this is yellow, this is yellow, this is yellow. And if you see a lot of this there, what might that mean? There's a lot of there. If you see a lot of yellow, what does it mean? There's probably a lot there. And then you have adults going, this is not true. The third graders are like, but there's a lot of yellow and these things are yellow. So I just want you to see this. These are researchers, right? That's a lot of people there. We hypothesized that obesity-associated hepatosteatosis, fatty liver in fat people, is a pathophysiological disease, chemical depot for fat-soluble vitamins, and altered normal physiology. Wow, other people are theorizing that fatty liver is associated with storing too many fat-soluble vitamins. What a crazy concept. I want you to see this. You need to pay attention. This is why the liver, what was it? Ken Berry on Twitter is like, the liver doesn't store anything. Anybody who says it doesn't understand. And I'm like, okay, let's just go over this one. In healthy subjects, 85% of intravenous D6 alpha tocopherol, vitamin E, they gave an IV of vitamin E, disappeared from the circulation within 20 minutes. Reappeared within minutes and peaked at 3 to 4 hours. Where did it go? They gave them an IV of vitamin E and it disappeared within 20 minutes. Where do you think it went? It went to the liver. Let me check something. Okay. So, yeah, it went to the liver. Grant said he had a study on this too, on vitamin A, where they did IV vitamin A, and it was like gone from the blood in seconds. Where do you think it went? It went into the liver, but reappeared within minutes. So what do you think happened within minutes? It started leaking out of the liver, or it was coming out in the bile, and peaked at 3 to 4 hours. Oh, the liver made some bile and started dumping it, and it leaked. D3 and D6 alpha tocopherols localized to lipoproteins. Oh, you mean like cholesterol, like LDL, HDL. Lipoprotein redistribution occurred only in vivo within 1 hour, indicating a key role in the liver in uptake and re-release. Okay. Conclusions. The unique role of the liver in vitamin E physiology is dysregulated by excess liver fat. So they're trying to say that the excess liver fat is causing the vitamin E problems. Yet again, they put the cart before the horse. It's the excess fat-soluble toxins, vitamin E, vitamin A, that are causing the fatty liver. Oh, like they're just trying so hard to not blame the vitamin E. Obesity-associated hepatosteatosis, fatty liver, may produce unrecognized liver vitamin E sequestration, accumulation, which might subsequently drive liver disease. Our findings raise the possibility that hepatosteatosis may similarly alter hepatic physiology of other fat-soluble vitamins. Think ahead, who are you trying to get me to note in the chat? What are you trying to get me to note? Because I don't do the questions until the end. I get to the chat after I do my topic of the day. So, okay. So let's go into, let's see. So fatty liver, weird that sequestration, accumulation of vitamin E in the liver in fatty liver. Okay. So what happens when rats don't get enough vitamin E? What happens on their vitamin A levels in their liver when they don't get vitamin E? Okay. I got to go to my, Joe, let me go to my PDF. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Joe, this one, can you see it? Yeah, okay, good, great. So, the effect of vitamin E deficiency on the vitamin A reserves in a rat. So what I'm going to tell you, one of the things I talk about is toxins of a feather flock together. We just saw that vitamin E gets stored in the liver, which we've always known. It's only the influencers and maybe the psychological operations going on today that try to convince people that we don't store these things or accumulate them. This has always been known. I remember growing up, they were like, don't take too much of I worked in a vitamin store. Don't take too much of the fat-soluble vitamins because they can accumulate and cause problems. And nowadays you got influencers going, eat sweet potatoes every day, and they just don't get it. They indicate, so why would we want to not avoid vitamin E, but not try to eat it? They indicate that in deficiency of vitamin E, the vitamin A reserves of the liver may be much reduced. Toxins of a feather flock together. Let's keep going through this. The vitamin A reserves of the rats given vitamin E were invariably, that means like basically always, much higher than those of the rats deficient in vitamin E. The positive control group had a mean, like basically they're saying average, total vitamin A reserve more than twice as great as of the deficient group. The reserve per gram of liver for the control group was almost twice as much as the corresponding value for the deficient group. So you see twice as much. The mean vitamin A reserves in the liver, both total and per gram, were about 10 times greater than the groups given vitamin E concentrate than in the deficient group. So I used to say 20 times. I was wrong. I'm retracting that. It was actually 10. I forgot the number. I thought it was 20. But it was 10. I mean, still 10 times higher, 10 times more vitamin A in the liver when they supplemented vitamin E. What colors vitamin E? Yellow. What colors vitamin A? Yellow. What colors fatty liver? Yellow. Let's keep going. This affords evidence that the ability of wheat germ oil, another thing to remember about wheat germ oil is it is extremely high in manganese, which is toxic to your liver. So we have more and more toxins coming in. The liver starts running slower and slower. It accumulates toxicity. So this affords evidence that the ability of wheat germ oil concentrate to promote the storage of vitamin A, as demonstrated in the present and preceding experiments, was due to the vitamin E which it contained and not to the presence of it in unsuspectedly large amounts of carotene or to its contamination with vitamin A. In all the above experiments in which halibut liver oil was given, the vitamin A reserves were always much lower in rats deprived of vitamin E than in animals subjected to exactly the same treatment, except for the addition of vitamin E. Preliminary experiments have indicated that the vitamin A reserves of rats deficient in vitamin E fall rapidly when the animal is restricted to a diet deficient in both vitamins A and E. Summary: the vitamin A reserves of rats kept for prolonged periods on a diet deficient in vitamin E, in which vitamin A was supplied as halibut liver oil, were always much lower than those of control animals receiving supplements of vitamin E. Hold on, Joe. I'll get the link to the Sci-Hub. Can I copy this? Oh, no. Let me go. Hold on. Let me go back and I will get this. So now, Joe, I got it. Here we are. Let me find that. It is this one. Here, were we not viewing the PDF? I'm sorry. We were on the PDF, right, Joe? Okay, and now we're back on this one. Oh, we're still sharing this one. Yeah, so we can stop sharing. So go to the PubMed link, Joe. So let me get copy clean link. Let me go to Sci-Hub. And here we go. Joe, you can share this one now. Zendog Breath, those testimonials, Sarah, if you can get Joe the testimonials, he just did a super chat, that would be great. So yeah. Now I'm going to say, folks, the vitamin E studies, where they're trying to say that animals need them, are probably as worthless as the vitamin A studies. Okay? They're probably just as worthless. It's another fat soluble toxin that we don't need. We don't have to try to avoid it. You're not trying to get zero. If you don't eat nuts and seeds, you're probably not going to get much at all. So we just don't try to eat it. Okay? So now, what does vitamin E do to the liver? High dosing of alpha tocopherol inhibits rat liver regeneration. Wait, let's just read that again. High dosing of alpha tocopherol inhibits rat liver regeneration. What's the one thing the liver can do? Regenerate. What does high dose vitamin E do? Stops the liver from regenerating. But wait, what's this connected to? By modifying signal transducer and activator of transcription protein expression and its correlation with cell redox state, oxidation related, and retinoid vitamin A metabolism. Hey, what did we just go over that the liver seems to store together? Vitamin A and vitamin E? Huh. Weird. You put two toxins together in the liver, store them in fatty liver, and then you inhibit rat liver regeneration. Okay. In fact, alpha tocopherol Vitamin E exerts adverse effects, partially inhibiting partial hepatectomy. So they cut out part of the liver so they could regenerate. That's what they're looking for. LP is lipid peroxidation, malondialdehyde, 4-hydroxy-nonaldehyde, 4-HNE. When you see those things, MDA is malondialdehyde, 4-HNE is 4-hydroxy-nonaldehyde. They leave out the dehyde. They want to hide it from you. They don't hide. They want to hide the aldehydes from you, right? So it inhibits the rat liver regeneration, okay? Pre-treatment with vitamin E blocked the liver, they chopped out the liver, induced increase of reactive oxygen species, altering the pattern of STAT protein activation, blunting retinoic acid formation by decreased alcohol dehydrogenase activity. Vitamin E inhibited ADH. Vitamin E inhibited detox, inducing higher liver caspase 3 activity and increasing tumor necrosis factor concentrations, while levels of interleukin-6 were decreased. Altogether, coinciding with disturbed liver chunk removal, promoted changes on the liver redox state. In conclusion, altered activation and translocation of STAT1 and 3 proteins and inhibited retinoid metabolism seem to be involved in the vitamin E-induced inhibition of rat liver regeneration. So what they're going to try to say is they're going to say, oh, they couldn't make retinoic acid, and that's what's causing the problem. No, what's happening is they're building up retinol in front of this, and retinol is toxic. And retinol is what you store in the liver as retinyl esters. You bind a retinol to a fatty acid ester, you put them together, it stores it in the liver. We just showed that vitamin E increases the storage of vitamin A in the liver, and they just mention here that vitamin E is inhibiting. This is not just vitamin A detox it's inhibiting. This is inhibiting all the alcohol detox of your body. But it gets better. Wait, there's more. Did I put this one in there, Joe? I don't think I did. I did. Okay, good. Hey, I'm getting better. Okay, so let's share this tab. And let me get this link. Putrescine treatment reverses alpha tocopherol induced desynchronization. Wait, so alpha tocopherol induces desynchronization of something, of polyamine and retinoid metabolism during rat liver regeneration. Gosh, what do you think vitamin E is doing? It's slowing down the liver regeneration. Does that sound like a good thing? Oh, I was looking for the proliferate. Where was it? So they gave putrescine counteracted most adverse actions exerted by alpha tocopherol on rat liver regeneration, restoring liver proliferative potential and restituting the decreased retinoid levels induced by alpha tocopherol. Well, we just saw that there's more vitamin A in there. They're measuring different types. And as has been shown in fatty liver studies, the methods that they used where they say fatty liver has less vitamin A in it, they've actually shown in other studies that those methods that were used previously are garbage and did not find the vitamin A that was there. And when they used a different method to analyze fatty liver, there was tons of vitamin A there. So let's keep going. So vitamin E gets in the way of liver regeneration. That's not something we want. Slows down ADH. Okay, alpha tocopherol is ineffective, doesn't work in preventing the decomposition of preformed lipid peroxides and may promote the accumulation of toxic aldehydes. Wait, who talks about aldehydes? Alpha tocopherol is ineffective in preventing the breakdown, the decomposition of preformed lipid peroxides, and may promote the accumulation of toxic aldehydes, a potential explanation for an explanation for the failure of antioxidants to affect human atherosclerosis. The antioxidant theory is trash. Your detox system is oxidative for the most part. Moreover, the inclusion of alpha tocopherol during the decomposition of 13-HPODE, which was what? 13-hydroperoxylinoleic acid. Resulted in an accumulation of aldehydes. Further oxidation of aldehydes to carboxylic acids by a number of oxidases was prevented by alpha tocopherol. Okay. Do you know of one aldehyde that goes to a carboxylic acid, everybody? That'd be vitamin A. Retinaldehyde to retinoic acid. Retinaldehyde to retinoic acid. Vitamin E inhibited the conversion of many aldehydes to carboxylic acids, not just by aldehyde dehydrogenase, most likely, but aldehyde oxidases. That's a whole nother class of detox pathways. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else in here. Let me just see. Nope, that was it on that one. So now we've got vitamin E is slowing down ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase. Vitamin E is slowing down the aldehyde pathways, the aldehyde breakdown pathways. Let's keep going. Adverse effects of vitamin E. That's a nice start. Adverse effects of vitamin E by induction of drug metabolism. Adverse effects of vitamin E by induction of drug metabolism. So this is one of the things that people don't understand about all of this work, is that a lot of people will look at very short-term research and they'll go, but this sped up this detox enzyme. And that's good, right? Don't you want to speed up ALDH, Dr. Smith? Well, no, sometimes when you put in toxins, it speeds up the toxin that breaks it down because your body knows it's toxic and it's still able to. Oh, we'll see that in this paper. And here's where it just gets so obvious. Since vitamin E is metabolized along the same routes as xenobiotics, foreign chemicals to the body, and induces drug metabolizing enzymes in rodents. Wait, so vitamin E, this supposed natural thing that we need, supposedly, is detoxed on the same route as like foreign and usually known toxic chemicals and induces drug metabolizing enzymes. Birds of a feather flock together. Okay, why would we think that if these things detox toxic things, that somehow this is a vitamin? Same thing with, as I was going over yesterday on Twitter. Okay, alcohol goes to acetaldehyde, which then goes through ALDH. Methanol goes to formaldehyde, which then goes through a form of ALDH, especially called formaldehyde dehydrogenase. There's, what's the other one that we were going over? Well, I mean, retinol goes to retinaldehyde, which then goes through ALDH. Okay. Nobody's going to say alcohol is a necessary nutrient, but then they're like retinol and tocopherol. Yeah, you need them. No, they're going through detox pathways of toxins. Come on now. Let me see if I had more on this one. No, that I think that was the only thing I wanted to go over on that one. I don't think this is the one with the cytochromes in it. Vitamin E did not provide benefits to patients with cardiovascular diseases, cancer, or diabetes. Guess really don't need it then. Didn't really help anything. Observational studies with healthy persons demonstrated an inverse association of vitamin E with the risk of coronary heart disease or cancer, but they didn't show it again. So, Dylan said even Matt Blackburn said high-dose vitamin E made his acne worse, but he pushed through and said it got better. He shut down detox, as Dylan was saying. Yes. I think this is the one. No, wait. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I forgot to highlight this part. So let's see. Let's go find the next one. Oh yeah, this is the part I wanted. It didn't highlight. It didn't keep my highlight. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go through pretty much. all this. So you're going to see that the body treats vitamin E as a toxin. Okay. Here we go. Metabolism of vitamin E follows the metabolism of xenobiotics. Drugs are mainly taken up in the liver by the organic ion. All forms of chylomicron remnant-bound vitamin E. So this is how we absorb them, chylomicrons. That's how we absorb them through the gut. Vitamin E enter the hepatocyte liver cell via the LDL receptor, HDL-bound alpha tocopherol via the scavenger receptor, BI. Within the cell, the mainly lipophilic drugs, xenobiotics, vitamin E, become activated by phase 1 enzymes, which oxidize, reduce, or hydrolyze drugs before they are subjected to phase 2 metabolism. Tocopherols and tocotrienols are hydroxylated in human cells by cytochrome 3A4. This is the biggest drug detoxing enzyme in your body, or cytochrome 4F2. Metabolites of drugs and vitamin E. Metabolites of drugs and vitamin E. Why don't we just say metabolites of toxins are sulfated or glucuronidated during phase 2 metabolism to make them more hydrophilic, water soluble, for the excretion via the biliary bile or the renal kidney route. Efflux into the bile occurs via the ABC transporters MDR1 or MRP2. This is P-glycoprotein. Wow, the body sure does use a lot of detox stuff to get rid of this. Intact vitamin E appears to take this route too. MRP1 and MRP3 are located at the sinusoidal membrane and pump drugs and their metabolites into the circulation for renal excretion. So, yeah. Vitamin E slows ADH. Vitamin E slows ALDH. Vitamin E goes through the same pathways, cytochrome pathways, as drugs. It's sulfated or glucuronidated so that it can get water soluble so the body can get rid of it through the kidneys too. Why does the body want to get rid of this so bad? And why does it slow down detox? Okay, so now we're going to go into, let's say we here at the Love Your Liver program believe that soluble fiber is very good at binding toxins and toxic bile. Okay? So if vitamin E fit into the toxin category, what do we think that soluble fiber, if we believe that soluble fiber binds toxic bile and things in it, and soluble fiber can also bind toxins, what do you think it's going to do to vitamin E? Well, let's go see. Bioavailability of vitamin E in rats fed graded levels of pectin. How much vitamin E could they get out of their food? Our results show that 6 and 8, but not 3% dietary pectin decreased vitamin E availability in rats. The pectin was binding to the vitamin E. Okay. Let's do this one. Now, this one, I couldn't get the whole paper even on Sci-Hub, but I remembered what it said when I was able to find it. Here we go. The mean area under the curve, so this is how they're measuring how much beta carotene was in the blood over a period of time. The mean area under the curve of beta carotene was significantly reduced by the water-soluble fibers pectin, guar. Where's guar gum? Oh, we use partially hydrolyzed guar gum called organic sun fiber, available in our store. So guar reduced the carotenoid absorption, and alginate with a mean decrease of 33 to 43%. All tested fibers significantly reduced the area under the curve of lycopene and lutein by 40 to 74%. The dietary fiber effect on the AUC of xanthelasma was almost significant, and there was no effect on the area under the curve of alpha tocopherol. Now, what I want to say about this, they just said it didn't affect vitamin E. In the whole paper, when you look at the whole paper, 6 grams of pectin a day for these women did lower vitamin E, the alpha tocopherol. It's not in the abstract here, but it's in the whole paper. But I had taken that out of it in the vitamin E article that's in the Love Your Liver program, but I couldn't find the whole paper. So, but I had made a note that it reduced it at 6 grams a day. It reduced vitamin E. So it's reducing vitamin A and vitamin E. But no one's ever tried to say that you shouldn't eat soluble fiber because it's going to deplete your nutrients of vitamin A and vitamin E. Because it doesn't, because it's not a problem. Why is this not highlighting? There we go. We conclude that the bioavailability of beta carotene, lycopene, and lutein given within a mixed supplement is markedly reduced by different kinds of dietary fiber. Bioavailability of vitamin E in rats fed diets containing pectin. Why are apples? I've been over this before. Apples are by far the healthiest fruit out there. What are apples highest in? Pectin. What a weird coincidence. They're also very low in vitamin A because this flesh is generally whitish. Vitamin E contents of other tissues, including liver, heart, and lung, were 3 to 4 times lower in both the plus E and plus P. Let me find that, what it was. An E supplemented basal diet to which 10% citrus pectin was added. So it's citrus pectin. It's not apple pectin, but it's pectin. Vitamin E contents of other tissues, including liver, heart, and lung, were 3 to 4-fold lower in both the plus vitamin E, plus pectin, and the minus E group compared to the plus E group. These results indicate that the consumption of a diet high in pectin content reduces the bioavailability of vitamin E. Let's do one more. Pectin structure and particle size modify carotenoid bioaccessibility and uptake by CACO2 cells. These are intestinal cells that they study, so it's in vitro. In citrus juice versus concentrates. So what do we go down here to see? This study highlights that the structure of pectins impairs the intestinal absorption of carotenoids from citrus concentrates. Well, that wasn't vitamin E. I guess I could have left that one out, but I was deciding whether today I was going to do the whole thing on vitamin A and E and K, but I decided to not do the K because I've already done a K video. Okay, now, so why does vitamin E cause coagulation problems? Why does it thin the blood? Well, this is not going to be hard to understand. Vitamin E, okay. If you go and you watch the vitamin A depletes vitamin K2 video, so they show in that video, I show in that video, multiple papers showing that vitamin A decreases the bioavailability of vitamin K in your gut and it lowers the vitamin K levels in the system. We now know that vitamin A and vitamin E, when they are together, they store more in the liver. So you get more in your system. Okay? What if we were to also show that vitamin E depletes vitamin K as well? Would that make sense? If vitamin E depletes vitamin K, would that make sense why vitamin E thins the blood? Let's go. Deuterium labeled, so this is radioactively labeled, phyloquinone, this is plant vitamin K, fed to alpha tocopherol injected rats demonstrates sensitivity of low phyloquinone containing tissues to menaquinone 4 depletion. This is MK4. The influence of excess alpha tocopherol on tissue depletion of phyloquinone plant K, this is K1, and menaquinone 4, MK4, was evaluated by feeding rats deuterium labeled PK for 17 days. Sorry, deuterium, that's the heavy water. I was thinking of isotopes. I'm sorry, I got them confused. So what happened? It depleted most tissues vitamin K. We propose that alpha tocopherol dependent vitamin K depletion is likely mediated at an intermediate step in MK4 production. vitamin E inhibits vitamin K production, MK4 production. Okay, next one. Excess alpha tocopherol decreases extrahepatic outside of the liver phyloquinone, that's K1, in phyloquinone fed rats, but not menaquinone 4 in menaquinone 4 fed rats. Yeah, so again, same thing that the title said. Excess alpha tocopherol decreased extrahepatic phyloquinone in rats fed phyloquinone, but not MK4 in rats fed MK4. So it didn't do the MK4 in this paper, but we just saw that it did in this paper. Sorry, and this is the one where it depleted it. This one said it depleted K1, but it didn't deplete MK4. Okay, let's go find more. Vitamin E decreases extrahepatic menaquinone 4 concentrations in rats fed menadione or phyloquinone. Here we are again. Thus, in rats, high tissue alpha tocopherol vitamin E depleted tissue MK4 without significantly increasing urinary vitamin K metabolite excretion. Changes in tissue MK4 and phyloquinone levels may be as a result of altered regulation of transporters. It's affecting the production. They weren't losing more vitamin K. They weren't peeing more out. How did the tissue levels go down? They weren't making it as well. Okay. Alpha tocopherol intake decreases phyloquinone concentration in bone, but does not affect bone metabolism in rats, probably because the study wasn't long enough. We'll just make this simple. These results suggest that alpha tocopherol intake decreases phyloquinone concentration in bone. Less K1 in your bone. Okay. So, what I'm going to tell you, it is known that vitamin A eats away at your bones and will cause coagulation problems. Vitamin E and vitamin A store in the liver. Here, let me just tell you about vitamin K first. Like I went over earlier, vitamin K, some people do better with it. Some people don't. Like 5% or less of the population that I work with, less than 5% have an issue with vitamin K. That doesn't mean everybody needs to take it. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K. Vitamin E depletes vitamin K. What do we find with people as they go through the program? Let's say you're out there and you're doing the program where you want to try some vitamin K, and let's say you feel better taking it. It helps you in some way. It helps your sleep or your sensitive teeth or your bleeding gums or your easy bruising. Any of those. Let's say it helps. What we see with the Love Your Liver program over time is that people eventually do not need to take the vitamin K anymore because their coagulation pathways and their vitamin K levels have come up because they're not toxic with vitamin A anymore and they're not toxic with vitamin E anymore. Does this make sense? You stop. This is why avoiding toxins is more important than shoving tons of nutrients in. Can you put in some vitamin K, some MK4 to help the process? You know, you can help the symptoms of low vitamin K by taking the vitamin K. Do you have to do that forever if you're doing the right things with your diet? No, you're not going to have to do it forever. Isn't that cool? And no, you should not be taking vitamin D supplements at all. And then the vitamin K2 will not save you from the vitamin D. It may make things a little less bad over time, but it's not saving you. Okay. Let's go to this last one. I just thought this was fun. So vitamin A has been studied. Retinoic acid has been studied as an adjuvant in many vaccines. Toxins of a feather flock together. Vitamin E in viral inactivated vaccines. What an interesting paper. They're going to use vitamin E as an adjuvant, which is something that makes the vaccine more toxic to your system for a while, so they see the white blood cells go up. Results show that vaccines with vitamin E, especially when it replaces 20 or 30% of mineral oil, induces a more rapid and higher antibody response than control vaccines. An adjuvant effect of vitamin E was also present in viral vaccine lacking bacterial antigens. No antigens to stimulate the immune system. Adjuvant means it's increasing the antibodies. If you don't know yet, antibodies are proteins your liver makes and your body makes to bind to toxins. Antibodies are toxin binders. They are proteins made by your liver to bind to toxins. Vitamin E was increasing the antibody response to both the control vaccines and the ones with basically no vaccine in them, no antigens. That is not good. And again, there are a bunch of studies. You can go look up retinoic adjuvant on PubMed. Go on PubMed, look up retinoic adjuvant, and you'll get to see how many times vitamin A has been studied as an adjuvant in vaccines to raise antibodies, which are markers of toxin exposure. Okay. So that one's done. Okay, cool. I think we're all done with that. Oh, am I not centered? Sorry, I'm not. I should go this way. This way. It's flipped. Okay. Okay, so let me hit these super chats. Thank you for the super chats. I'll just say that at the start. Thank you very much, everybody, for the super chats, and those get priority in the answering of the questions. So I'm going to go up to the top and come down, and we will hit on each one of them. And then if there's any time left, then I come back and I hit the ones that are still there. The one I start at the top and I come down, but usually we run out of time after the super chats. Really, you guys probably don't do any more super chats today, or I'm going to have to push it to next week. Okay, so thank you for all the super chats. Brandon Treen says, thoughts on proteolytic enzymes away from foods to improve detoxification and to prevent intra-abdominal adhesions. Minus nattokinase due to it not having blood-thinning modulatory attributes like lumbrokinase and serrapeptase. Okay. Where to begin on this? Proteolytic enzymes, for those of you who don't know, proteolytic enzymes are protein proteolytic chopping enzymes. So they chop up proteins. The reason people are taking it is to chop up what are considered inflammatory proteins and peptides floating around the body. You're trying to break those things down so they're not as inflammatory. That's what they do. This helps generally with healing. Okay, so do I think I like serrapeptase? I do. I haven't used much of the lumbrokinase, but I do use serrapeptase. Like if I knew, if I was going in for a surgery, I would take some serrapeptase after the surgery. I would start, as soon as I could take something after the surgery, I would take it. So, and I've had other people do this too, and it really helps the pain and it really speeds up the healing. Now, I don't know if you've already got like intra-abdominal adhesions and you're going to take like high doses of these things. I don't know that it's going to make that go away. I can't say that it's going to help stuff that's old go away, because a lot of times the body goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it's kind of dealt with something, kind of like that room in your house where you're like, you got a bunch of crap in it and you're just like, but I can close the door and forget about it and it's fine and it doesn't bother me. So that's what the body does a lot of times with like scar tissue and stuff like that. Or with like hair thinning or hair loss. The body just goes, look, hair's not that important. We got all this other stuff to deal with. We're not going to deal with this. This is not killing us. You know, the intra-abdominal adhesions are not killing us. We're still alive, so we don't have to attack it. That's what I'm saying. So the body gets into, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is like PRP or prolotherapy. I want you to think this is what prolotherapy is: the injection of dextrose. If we're talking straight prolotherapy, dextrose and like lidocaine and procaine into a joint. Why? The dextrose starts up inflammation. So what you're doing with prolotherapy is you're going into the joint, you're injecting an inflammatory substance of sugar. Go watch my dextrose episode if you need to. You're injecting a solution of sugar to induce inflammation in the area. So then the body goes, wait, what's going on here? We got to go fix this. And the idea is the body goes in there and it looks around and it goes, wait, while we're here, okay, we got to clean up this inflammation, but while we're here, why don't we tidy up this and make this better? You know, that's what it's doing. You're bringing you're saying what you're doing is you're inducing the inflammation to say, this is broke. Come here and fix this. That's what prolotherapy is. And they use something inflammatory like sugar. They inject sugar into your joint and your body goes, oh my gosh, get this crap out of here. And along the way, it will stimulate healing of the area because the body's going to do what it does. It's going to go and try to repair the area. So PRP is different. PRP is your own, platelet-rich prolotherapy, where they're taking out your own blood, spinning it, getting the platelets, and re-injecting those into the joint or wherever you're trying to inject it. They got PRP for all sorts of things now. Oh my gosh. They're doing like crazy things like breast procedures and like facelift things. They're doing crazy stuff with PRP. I mean, I'm a fan of PRP because it's your own stuff. It's your own platelets. It's not, there's nothing foreign coming in. So generally Prolo is like the thing they use the most on younger people who are younger because they have better healing capacity. PRP is kind of the middle option. And then they get into like the actual stem cell therapy where the stem cell therapy I'm talking about is not from umbilical cords. They drill into your pelvis and they take bone marrow cells out of your pelvis and then they re-inject those into the area. So anyway, back to the proteolytic enzymes. Can they help? Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen them like completely, people have told me it completely removed bruising from surgical procedures. Like after their surgery, there was no bruising and their doctor was like, wow, you're not an easy bruiser. And then, they told the doctor it was serrapeptase and the doctor's like, oh, okay, whatever. You're just not a bruiser. No, it was. So here's the thing about, if you're going to do something like lumbrokinase or serrapeptase, these things, first of all, it would be good before you go and have a surgery or before you're going and doing this stressor on your body. Here's a concept from, like, let's say triathlons or long endurance races or even just, short things like powerlifting meets or whatever. Don't try something new the day of the event, right? The athletes know this. They're like, oh yeah, I tried doing baking soda loading for my triathlon and I had too much and then I had the runs and I didn't even get to race. But what if they had done it before some training sessions before then? They would have known how much to use and they could have fixed it before the big event. So if you want to do serrapeptase or lumbrokinase or any of these other proteolytic enzymes, I mean, I'm a big fan of serrapeptase. I just use that by itself. But try it before the surgery or the procedure or whatever. Try it out. See if you get along with it, because you don't want to be recovering from surgery and then be like, ooh, I don't get along with serrapeptase. So now you feel bad from the surgery and you feel bad from the serrapeptase. Okay. But yeah, and if you're going to use proteolytic enzymes, they need to be taken away from food. If they digest proteins, if you take them with food, they will digest the proteins in the food and not get into your system. They're just going around, proteolyzing whatever is in front of them. So if that's the steak you had at dinner, they're just going to eat up the steak. So away from food by generally, I would say minimum of either before or after food, 1 to 2 hours. Better is 2 hours before or after food. How do I do it? If I was taking them, when I've taken them in the past, I would take them as soon as I woke up and then have, 2 hours or whatever until breakfast. And I would take them right before bed, which was usually at least 2 hours after I had finished dinner. So, and then you have them floating around your system at night, and then you have them in your system as soon as the day starts. So that's my take on that. But I would not take them okay. So what people are doing is they're like, oh, I have inflammation. I'm going to take proteolytic enzymes every day, like a multivitamin kind of idea. We don't do multivitamins either. For those of you who don't know, Keystone Minerals is back in stock. So that's in the store too, along with the new niacin capsules. So if you want to get some Keystone Minerals or the new niacin caps, go get them. So I use Arthur Andrew serapeptase. And some places call it serratopeptidase. Serratopeptidase, same thing as serapeptase. But yeah, I use the Arthur Andrew Medical. And when I'm going to hit something like serapeptase, I hit it hard. And when I say I hit it hard, I mean, like when I do it, I do 5 pills in the morning and 5 pills at bedtime. So 10 pills a day. So you go through those bottles real quick. So you better buy enough. If you wanted to do that kind of dosing, which this is not medical advice right now for anybody, but if you're going to do big dosing of enzymes, just do it. Like if you're going to do it, test it out before when you're going to need them, and then do it. And don't do them like a daily supplement. They're used short term. Hit it hard, leave or stop, I could say. So, okay. So then we've got, let's see. Brendan Schrader had a question. Thank you for the, hold on one sec. Brandon Treen, thank you for the super chats as always. I know you had a couple. You had one that you retracted. I don't know if that was just like you being nice. If it was, thank you. Okay, here it is from Brendan Schrader. Hi, Doc. I'm taking sorghum for some of my soluble fiber intake. Any knowledge on this? Also, what is your opinion on biotin? Sorghum, whole grains in general are fine. If you do well with it, it's fine. Yeah, not much. It's fine. Like some people have done buckwheat. Some people freak out about oxalates in buckwheat. You just find something for soluble fiber that works for you. That's the biggest thing. So if sorghum works, we've had people do sorghum before. Absolutely. Also, what is your opinion on biotin? Biotin. It's a try it. And if you want to try it for your hair or whatever, you can try it. If it helps, you can keep it in. If it doesn't, stop taking it. It's about just whatever. If you wanted to try biotin, I assume there's going to be a reason you want to try it. It's a symptom fixer. So you're trying to help a symptom. So if you take it and it doesn't help the symptom that you're taking it for, or it doesn't help anything else that you notice, then stop taking it. If it helps something, then keep taking it, but just realize if you're doing our approach, like the Love Your Liver program, over time, that thing you're taking, like biotin, may turn on you, and all of a sudden you don't feel good on it because you don't need it anymore. And now you're taking something that you don't need, and your body doesn't like it. So that's the big biotin. I've had people who, they try to take biotin for their hair, and they start losing more hair. That's why biotin is like totally one of those try it and see things. And you have to observe. If you're working on hair, you might want to give it like a month so you can have enough time to recognize if it's helping or not, because hair obviously has to grow. So you got to give it time. That's why I let this grow out for a week since the last episode. And then I just decided today, I thought it looked all right. So we're going to leave it out a bit. I might let it grow out for another week. See how it all looks. Okay, Susan Stewart says, thank you for those super chats, Susan. I get an irritated urinary tract feeling after sun exposure. Retinoic acid, perhaps. 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda works instantly. Is this okay to use? So, well, these are some interesting correlations here. So you get an irritated urinary tract feeling after sun exposure. So you're dumping something, obviously. I'm just reviewing this for other people. You probably know this, Susan, but you're dumping something into your urine. Okay. The sun increases bile dumping, the heat, the UV, that stuff. It increases bile dumping. Okay. So you're dumping more bile. Some of it's leaking into your system, going to your kidneys, and whatever was in the bile is coming out through your urine, and it's irritating your bladder. Okay. 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda, if that helps relieve it, great. That's not a problem for me at all. Um, when I saw people get into problems was back when I was part of the fad for a while, where people go on the internet and they're like, baking soda fixes everything. And they think they're just going to take baking soda and all their problems are going to go away. And they start taking more and more, and they get up around what I saw was when we were trying to do baking soda for things like blood pressure and other things like this, when it was a phase in my career when they got up around, half a teaspoon or when they got up around half a teaspoon or even a teaspoon, we would start seeing problems start a day. Half a teaspoon to a teaspoon a day was where we'd start to see the problems. It's just too much alkalinity. You can have too much alkalinity. The people out there who are like, if you're too alkaline, you can't catch any disease. You can make yourself so alkaline you're dead, and then you have no diseases. You can change one disease into another. You could use baking soda to get rid of one problem, but then take too much of it and cause yourself problems from being too overly alkaline. So the thing to remember about bicarbs, carbonates like magnesium, we use baking soda as a buffer for niacin. We use baking soda as a buffer, potassium bicarbonate as a buffer for niacin. We might use magnesium carbonate as a buffer for niacin. Well, when you use that with niacin, with nicotinic acid, they react, and then they are together like magnesium nicotinate. When they form in the water, it's buffered. It's 7 pH. It's neutral. But if people are taking way more buffers than they need, these are drug level alkalizers. Sodium bicarb is, I'm not saying drug in a bad way with this. It's just, it's an alkalizer. It's a symptom fixer. Like it's adjusting your pH. Can you over adjust? Sure. Why not? So you were saying, Susan, that something what about your nicotinic acid? Oh, she says, and baking soda eliminates my nicotinic acid flush as well. Very interesting. I don't know that you'd. Okay. I believe there is a benefit to the flush, and so does Kelsey. We don't chase the flush. We also don't avoid the flush. So this is like punishing yourself with flushing really hard is not going to feel good. You're not going to want to keep doing it. But being so scared of flushing that you always take a really, really low dose and you never get to a flush, that's not good either. So we don't chase it. We don't avoid it. If you can tolerate a flush at a certain level of flush niacin, nicotinic acid, and you want to go up, if you're okay with the flush that you're at, you can go up. It's not going to, you don't have to like go crazy up, but you can go up from there. But yeah, and that was one thing Kelsey also mentioned to me too, is that buffering the niacin makes for less of a flush or just a less intense flush for a lot of people. So that helps with compliance. Like, how many people out there will not do flush niacin because just like, I just don't feel good. Well, you're probably really toxic in your skin. And that's why you feel the flush so intensely. So avoiding the flush means you're going to get to keep that toxicity in your skin. Okay. And you're not going to get to where you want to go as fast, but you still don't have to punish yourself with the flush. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's what I got. But yeah, it could just be too much acidity. In the future I haven't even asked my manufacturers this yet. In the future, the 500 milligram capsules of niacin, I'm going to pre-buffer them in the capsule. So they will already be buffered in the capsule. So when they go into your stomach and they go into the liquid of your stomach, then they're going to buffer themselves. So people don't have to do all these separate buffer pills and all that stuff. So yeah, we're working on that, but that's not out yet. The niacin that is in my store is just flush niacin. There's no buffer in it. Okay. So let's see, from Zendog Breath. He said, filled with awe, Doc, can you send me links to those testimonials so I can contact them and then repost on grants? Yeah, Sarah will take care of that. So just contact Sarah, Joe, and she'll get that to you. I talked to Grant the other day. And he really wants his forum to be focused on testimonials about low vitamin A and what people have achieved rather than what it currently is, which is not helpful or fruitful for the movement. It has been invaded by those who are not really supportive of the movement and are not helping things at all. So, okay, so Brandon says, thoughts on sodium alginate as an antidote to treat heartburn symptoms by creating a digestive raft, preventing food from getting up past the sphincter. I don't know. That sounds like, I mean, unless, okay, I have not looked into sodium alginate for that purpose at all. If anything, I would think that whatever liquid was like normal soluble fiber, like you saw on the pectin and alginate and what was the other one? I don't remember the other one, but the guar gum, the study I went over, like the alginate was inhibiting carotenoid absorption. Okay. Is it adsorbing the carotenoids in the bile? I don't know what the alginate is doing. In terms of like a raft, like trying to make like a plug, like a sodium alginate floating plug that like as the acid moves up, that it somehow prevents things from going through the sphincter. I have no idea that. And I don't know if you've tried this, Brandon, or so what we can use for bile in the stomach, charcoal, if people don't get too much of a bile dump from soluble fiber, they can do soluble fiber. If you know you have acid bile coming up, which we went over in the GERD episodes, you might want to watch the GERD episode. If we know we have bile and acid coming up, which is the worst type of heartburn, it causes the most damage, then like some bicarbonate, whether it's potassium bicarbonate or sodium bicarbonate or even magnesium carbonate, can squash the acidity part of it. So if somebody wanted to work on, let's say they knew they had acid bile, they knew that baking soda or potassium bicarb or whatever helped it to feel better, but maybe didn't make it go away, then they might do charcoal and a bicarbonate or a carbonate. We don't do calcium carbonate. Good old Tums, right? So you can just do, why do calcium carbonate like Tums when you can do magnesium carbonate and get magnesium, or potassium bicarbonate and get potassium, or sodium bicarbonate and get some sodium, but most of us salt our food enough, so we don't necessarily need more sodium. That's the thing I always think is so funny when all the influencers nowadays, they're like, eat more salt, like 8 grams of salt a day. And I'm like, if there's one mineral you don't need to supplement everybody, it's everybody's already supplementing salt. I get such a kick out of that one. Like everybody's supplementing it with their salt shaker. But yeah, so Brennan, I don't know about that. Okay, so Brennan said, I haven't tried it yet, but it makes sense for maybe people at night. I've found bicarbonate doesn't work very well, or charcoal in these areas, but maybe a combo would be worthwhile. Well, elevating the head of the bed somehow, whether it's more pillows or the inclined bed or stuff like that, that can really help. You can try the alginate, but you have to think like, okay, so if the alginate is going to be like a raft, right? So when you're standing, it makes sense that it's sitting at the top of your stomach, right? It's floating in this direction. But when you lay down, it's gonna tilt and it's gonna be flat. You know what I mean? So if my head was my body, the raft is gonna be like, it's still gonna be crooked. It's gonna be perpendicular because the water, the liquid in it would shift as you move. So I don't know that it would necessarily plug up anything, but if it soaks up enough of the bile and whatever else is going on down there, if it's working, great. I'd love to know about it. But other than that, I don't have any theories on the raft idea. So, Joe, did any more super chats come up? Oh, okay. One just, where was that one? Oh, Jenna Hendrickson. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, I think that's about it. If anybody wants to, I'm just looking down here for some questions. Okay, I'll just go over this one. Joe, you may want to go look up my scurvy, the sailors' diets and scurvy one. Braden asks, I know you generally don't recommend vitamin C for love your liver. Many people say in order to prevent atherosclerosis that daily vitamin C is recommended. What are your thoughts? How to prevent? Well, that's the whole program. That's what we do. So yeah, Joe just put up the scurvy episode. Scurvy is vitamin A toxicity. That's what it is. We generally, especially as we get on in the program, we don't need to have vitamin C because we're getting rid of the vitamin A toxicity. That is what vitamin C deficiency is. I go over papers in that episode about where they said in dogs, like the presentation of scurvy and hypervitaminosis A was the same symptoms. And then the sailors' diets, they would state things like when they had oats, which is soluble fiber, right? Soaks up bile and vitamin A. When they had oats in their rations, they had less scurvy. Well, oats are not known as being a vitamin C food. So how would oats prevent scurvy unless it was soaking up the vitamin A that they were eating? And the alcohol. They drank weak alcohol all day. They didn't drink water. So they were slowing down. They were using up their detox, drinking alcohol all day. So let me just go. So if we were to say that vitamin A is, so vitamin C is extremely good at slowing down detox. Extremely good. It slows down ADH and ALDH amazingly well. This is why people can take, if they take enough of it, the cool thing, okay, how do I put this? The cool thing about vitamin C, first of all, make sure it's non-GMO. If you're ever going to use it, make sure it's non-GMO. If you're going to use vitamin C, realize that what you're trying to use it for is to shut down detox. That's not you can do that sometimes. When we know enough about the system, we can manipulate it. So if somebody was having a really rough time and they were just like, I just need a break from this. I just, can I shut it down for a bit? Vitamin C is probably the best choice for shutting down things because the effect of it goes, it's something that's in the system a lot. It's easy to clear out. And it works really well if you get your dose high enough. So what is the dose? Well, you're looking at close to bowel tolerance. So you could go up until you reach bowel tolerance, which is diarrhea. Or if you get to gurgling, if you get to a lot of gurgling in your stomach. So one of the ways I've used in the past to assess my bowel tolerance, when I did use vitamin C, I don't use it anymore. I don't need it anymore. But I personally did a gram an hour. So every hour I was awake, 1 gram, hour 1, another gram, hour 2, another gram in hour 3, another gram, hour 4. And I would just do that while I was awake until I got to either the gurgling, because gurgling is the last step before diarrhea when you're loading, or I got to loose bowels. And then I'd say, okay, so let's say it took me 8 grams of vitamin C, ascorbic acid, or sodium ascorbate, whatever. It took me 8 grams to get to loose bowels. Okay, so then I'd go down to 7. The next day I would take 7. That would be my dose to suppress detox. Then I used to take 8 grams a day of vitamin C to shut down my allergies. Now I know what I did. I shut down my allergies by taking 8 grams of vitamin C a day. And it works. It works. It's not fixing anything. So then if we say that vitamin C deficiency is actually vitamin A toxicity, let me go find you this cool paper. So you're trying to prevent heart disease, atherosclerosis. I've been over this paper many times. Increased dietary intake of vitamin A promotes aortic valve calcification in vivo, in live animals. Okay. So they're trying to say you need vitamin C to prevent heart disease. I'm saying vitamin C deficiency is vitamin A toxicity. And then I can go and show you this vitamin A causes calcification of the cardiovascular system. So what do we fix? We fix the toxicity. Does that make sense? Okay, this is the last super chat that I'm going to go over. So don't send any more super chats. We're all done after this. Okay, Brandon, again, thank you very much, Brandon. Thoughts on antidote use of brush border enzymes? Example, therabiotic SIBB zymes while people are introducing or increasing carbs/soluble fiber to reduce potential bloating/gut discomfort. I don't know. This is a lot of stuff that Brandon, I know where you're coming from. You're coming from a history of using a lot of supplements to try to work on things. I used to do this. And somebody like yourself, Brandon, it would not be difficult to use these things and try them out. But if you're starting to use them with clients or patients, it becomes, this is like what I was talking about earlier, where people are out there doing a low vitamin A diet and they'll say, well, I don't feel good. I keep not feeling good. Well, they're doing something wrong. People do things wrong with things all the time. And then they also get very supplement addicted. Never forget, how many of you here, you can sound off in the comments if you want, in the chat, how many of you here would have considered yourself a supplement addict at one point of your existence? Most of us have been supplement addicts at some point of our existence. Most of us have been. So if we start trying to, if somebody's going to introduce, if somebody wanted to take brush border enzymes to try to help with their tolerance of carbs, grains, beans, whatever, or they want to take Beano, the alpha galactosidase, I think it is, to help with tolerating beans. I mean, that's all fine and good. That's all fine and good. If it doesn't help, then don't keep taking them. But also, hopefully over time, if your body never wanted something that if you had to take a supplement with a food to eat it every single time for the rest of your life, is that food really good for you? Right? So I know you're talking about the introduction phase. A really great introduction to beans protocol, if you want to call it that I got reading another guy on the internet. He said, here's how you introduce beans. You only eat 2 tablespoons a day of the beans that you're trying to get used to for 2 weeks. You do not eat a big ass bowl of beans. Is that enough bees? Big ass bowl of beans right off the bat. And this is what people do. They go and they eat a giant bowl of oats right off the bat, or they go and eat a giant bowl of beans right off the bat. And they're like, oh, I don't feel so good. And you're like, well, maybe if you would have walked before you ran, your gut biome might be able to adapt. And then in 2 weeks, then you try a bowl of it, or you try increasing instead of adding more supplements to the mix. Can you do the supplements? Sure. But you're just going to have people with there's going to be a lot of stuff going on that is not necessary. And in a certain way, it's covering up potential issues that they may have with the food. It may make them feel better with the food, but they're still causing themselves problems. So we don't want to cover up the body's feedback that it's giving us about certain things. So you can try it. That's something I kind of got out of the whole trying different supplements for these little things. I'm trying to think big picture here. So when you get into questions about little supplements with little uses, I'm just not in that game anymore. So sorry about that. Wait, hold on. Is Space Cowboy, are you still here? Are you still in the chat? What I'm wondering, Space Cowboy, is if you said you were doing a lot of milk and a lot of what was the other thing you said? Dairy, and you were the MMA guy. Are you still here? Oh, dang it. I hope he is. I wanted to find out if it was raw dairy. No, not showing up. Dang it. Man, there's so many comments now. Like I lost that comment. How many comments are there? My goodness. Anyway. Oh yeah, Zendog Breath says Grant. That's Joe. If you didn't know, Grant rocks. Makes my day, Doc. We'll fill that blog with testimonials. Once people quit getting harassed by egg cells, they will post them on their own. Yes, the egg cells have ruined Grant's forum, and we must save it from them. And maybe they can go on Reddit and go bitch there. So, yeah. Okay, so. Oh, Zendog Breath was saying, wait, is not zirconia the most excellent counterfeit diamond? No, you're thinking of zirconium versus cubic zirconia. Cubic zirconia is the fake diamond, and zirconium is the alternative dental implant compound. If you had to get implants, and you don't want to get the normal ones, you're pretty much stuck with zirconium. But it's not. I think zirconium is not conductive, which is a very important thing. So, okay, I think we're all done then. So again, just remember, if you want to go to my website, nutritiondetective.com, if you wanted to work with our practitioners doing the hair and the blood testing and the 6 months of support and all that stuff, look for the consultation tab. If you want to get any of the new like niacin capsules or the keystone minerals, and then keep an eye out in the next weeks because we have multiple new supplements coming out. The magnesium lotion will be back soon. Do not email Julie. There is no list to get on. There's no VIP list. There is no, we get you it early. When it shows up on the website, we will announce it in the Love Your Liver program. We will announce it on Twitter. We will announce it everywhere. So don't bother Julie with it. There is no waiting list. My manufacturer has everything in their, hot little hands to put it together, and they're going to be putting it together very soon. Just don't bother Julie. So obviously you guys know where the YouTube channel is here. Twitter, I'm NutriDetect. There's, don't forget to like and subscribe and talk in the chat and add comments. But remember, the biggest thing that YouTube likes the most is minutes watched on the channel. So however you want to help with that, you can binge watch it. You could just play it in the background and just let it run, whatever you want to do. But that's what YouTube likes. YouTube is here to get time played. Like that. That's what they reward. The comments and everything is cool, and I appreciate it. And thank you for putting testimonials here. Sometimes I screenshot them. I put them on Twitter. Yeah. So, there's Kelsey's Kenny's Twitter, our niacin expert, and her Etsy store. So we will see you all next week. So just remember about vitamin E, the vitamin E, the moral of the story, the takeaway from this: don't supplement vitamin E. That's easy. Don't try to eat more vitamin E. That's easy. Just don't go pursuing it. And that's it. That's all you got to do with vitamin E. You don't have to try to avoid it all in your diet. Just don't pursue it and don't supplement it. It is absolutely in the same vein as vitamin A. It's another fat storable alcohol. I haven't found the evidence that it breaks down into an aldehyde. There's one little connection. There is a tocopheraldehyde out there on a chemical website, but I just don't know. So I'm not going to say that it breaks down, but you saw it inhibited ADH, it inhibited ALDH. It goes through cytochromes. It's sulfated and glucuronidated. It acts in a toxin. The body treats it like a toxin in every single way. And soluble fiber soaks it up and prevents it from being absorbed. So don't supplement vitamin E. Well, what I would take away from this is I would not supplement vitamin E, and I would not try to eat more foods with it. I'm not going to never eat nuts again. I'm going to have some almonds once in a while. I like them once in a while. I'm not going to never eat almonds because oxalates and vitamin E. No, I'll have a handful of almonds every once in a while. I'm just not going to have them every day. They are low vitamin A, but they do have some other issues. So every food has issues. Every food has issues. You do not get to eat a zero toxin diet. You don't get to, like, oxygen is causing you to rust from the inside out. You don't get to not breathe oxygen. Okay? What we are trying to do is to not put in the most obvious toxins and the least obvious toxins that we might have thought were good for us before. That's the goal. Okay? So that's about it. Hope you all have a great week. I have something exciting. Another potential detox supplement binder that I'm working on. I'm going to go check out the company that makes it this coming week, and it's going to be exciting. So I will see you all next time. Bye now.